friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 720. Woo! That in the neighborhood, my brothers and sisters, as we proceed to give you what you need, we are going back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Another Tragedy Tales Tuesday being team. And the title of the video is Overboard, 5 clips before horror, number 20. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, y'all. Whenever we get to go back to Tragedy Tales, it always feels like a holiday. You know what I'm saying? A special freaking occasion. And I'm ready to get into the video. But before we get into it, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We are back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
Every single day, clips are posted all over the internet showing chilling and terrifying events. And yet again, in this episode, we're going to take a look at 5 more crazy examples. From a sightseeing helicopter ride turned into pure terror, to a horrifyingly tragic building collapse in India. As usual, I've dug up some clips that are guaranteed to leave you shocked. So strap in and get ready, and let's get right into it.
Get whatever you may need. Number 5.
Now, this first horrifying clip was captured in Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas, on May the 24th, 2023. That day, a large group of students from multiple Baton Rouge high schools in Louisiana made their way to the Bahamas for an epic graduation holiday that they had organized themselves. Among the groups was 18-year-old Cameron Robbins. Cameron had just graduated from the University Laboratory School in Baton Rouge, where he was known as a funny, kind-hearted, and full-of-life guy. He was also a standout baseball player, described as intense, driven, and someone who pushed through injuries and never backed down from a challenge. Upon arriving in the Bahamas, Cameron and his friends checked into the Atlantis Paradise Hotel, a luxurious resort located on Paradise Island, a small landmass just off the coast of Nassau, connected by bridges. This hotel is one of the most famous resorts in the country, known for its massive water park, marine exhibits, and high-end amenities. But for the students, this trip wasn't about relaxation, it was about celebrating their newfound freedom. Almost immediately after arriving in the Bahamas, the group of students started drinking. That first evening, they had plans to board the Blackbeard's Revenge, a pirate-themed boat that would sail through Nassau Harbor and around Paradise Island before returning home that night. It sounds epic. So, as the sun set, just 4 hours after arriving in the Bahamas, Cameron and his friends stepped onto the party boat. The atmosphere was electric. Music was blasting, drinks were flowing, people were laughing and dancing. It was the kind of night that they would remember forever. But for Cameron, it would be his last.
Damn.
At around 9:40 p.m, as the boat floated off the coast near Montego Bay, one of Cameron's friends dared him to jump into the water. By this point, everyone was heavily intoxicated, including Cameron. Caught up in the moment, he didn't hesitate. Upon being dared, he climbed up, balanced on the edge of the boat, and leapt into the dark ocean below.
Oh my God, man. Like, seriously, they had to be drunk as elf for this to make any type of sense. Hey, jump in the ocean. Okay, and then he just jumped in. Like, nobody in that moment had to been logically thinking at all, y'all. And we got to keep in mind that they are young adults. You know what I'm saying? What, they fresh out of high school or fresh out of college? They young, man. They drinking and stuff. They on vacation, having the time of their life. It's a party atmosphere, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But just for him to just jump in the damn ocean? I know. I'll just say it like this: if they was freaking sober, and Cameron got dared to do that, he would not have done it. I gotta blame that on the alcohol, y'all. I just got to. It's the only way it can make sense in my brain.
And that's where the clip begins. The widely shared footage shows Cameron treading water. He seems to be struggling, and his friends are screaming at him, urging him to grab the lifebuoy that had been thrown in his direction. It seems there's some sort of struggle, and instead of swimming towards it, Cameron suddenly turns and faces the darkness beneath him. His movements shift, he kicks harder, his arms thrashing, as if trying to push something away. Then, in a chilling moment, Cameron is almost pulled sideways, dragged abruptly into the darkness. The last glimpse of him is a brief struggle before he vanishes completely, never to be seen again.
This kid fucking jumped off! Oh my fucking god! Oh, bye-bye! Oh shit! That shit! Hey, grab the buoy! Hey, the buoy! Yo, this kid's fucking gone, bro!
Some believe that he was caught in a strong current, yanked beneath the surface before he even had time to react, but others see something far more sinister in the footage. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force later confirmed that this area is full of sharks. And when you watch the clip closely, it does almost look like something is in the water with him before Cameron disappears. After vanishing, the alarm was raised and the boat's crew and passengers scoured the dark waters for hours, but there was no sign of him.
A recent high school graduate from Louisiana is missing after going overboard while on a trip to the Bahamas. Officials say 18-year-old Cameron Robbins was traveling with a group of students when he went overboard Wednesday night. Students and parents prayed for Robbins' safe return at his high school in Baton Rouge. Royal Bahamian police say it all happened near an uninhabited island popular with snorkelers. They are investigating claims that Robbins jumped into the water at night on a dare.
Hours turned into days as the US Coast Guard, as well as the Bahamian authorities, scoured over 325 square miles of ocean. Despite sifting through this with a fine-tooth comb, no body, no clothing, or any trace of Cameron was ever found.
Damn.
On May the 27th, after exhausting all efforts, officials declared him lost at sea. A week later, on June the 4th, Cameron's family and friends gathered at Broadmoor United Methodist Church for a private memorial. Dressed in black, mourners embraced the outside of the church, grieving for a young man whose life had been cut tragically short. A night of celebration that should have been one of the happiest moments of his life ended in a horrifying tragedy, one that left his loved ones with nothing but questions, and a clip that captured his last moments right before horror.
Oh my God, man. That one else is got a lot of tragic tales to it, so to speak, being team. Just the fact that they had to have a funeral service without even his body even being there. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, it's like he just vanished from freaking earth, man. Like, he just gone, y'all. Like, we can't even give him any type of proper burial. And then another thing that's so tragic about it is when I go back to when I was talking about they was drunk, you can hear in the clip all the other drunk students or young people or whoever. You can hear them and the way they talking, y'all. You can tell they gotta be drunk too, because they laughing at the ish. They like, this kid just jumped in. And I think one of them said like, bye-bye, or see you later, or he's gone, or something like that. And Maybe I'm blaming it a little too much on the alcohol. I'm just saying, man, maybe in that moment, y'all, just if you try to put yourself in that situation, they all drinking and all happy and all that and whatever, and they just thinking the ish funny. Like I said, maybe I'm making excuses. Maybe they do. I don't know, man. It's just crazy seeing and hearing those people response to that man jumping in that freaking water, and more than likely he was gonna die, and that would end up happening. Maybe it was a shark that attacked him, maybe it was not. I don't know if he knew how to swim or not. I don't even care if he knew how to swim. That was just a terrible decision. Rest in peace to Cameron. Let's go to number 4. Number 4.
This next clip was recorded over the East River in New York City on March the 11th, 2018. That afternoon, 5 passengers boarded a Liberty Helicopters sightseeing tour operated by Flynion. This helicopter tour was marketed as an open-door flight, offering an unmatched aerial photography experience over Manhattan's most iconic landmarks. However, this helicopter was a bit different to others. As well as the traditional safety systems, the passengers were also strapped into a supplemental harness, allowing them to lean out of the helicopter for better shots. Sounds great, right? The helicopter, a Eurocopter A350, lifted off from Hilo Kearney Heliport in New Jersey at approximately 7 p.m. The pilot followed the usual sightseeing route, passing the Statue of Liberty, flying over the Brooklyn Bridge, and finally heading north towards Central Park. As they entered LaGuardia's airport's controlled airspace, the aircraft climbed to 2,000 feet, allowing passengers a breathtaking panoramic view of the city. And as usual, everything was going as planned, until it all went wrong. At approximately 7:05 p.m., just 5 minutes after taking off, a small but devastating mistake occurred. Onboard footage, which sadly I was unable to find online, was later reviewed by investigators, and it showed one of the front seat passengers adjusting in his harness. As he did, his tether to this special harness slipped dangerously close to the helicopter's floor-mounted controls, and as he leaned back up, the tether snagged on the emergency fuel shut-off lever, cutting off the engine's power in an instant. All of a sudden, the engine noise dropped and warning lights flashed all inside the cockpit. The pilot, realizing something was terribly wrong, tried his best to respond, but before he could do anything, the helicopter began an auto-rotation and began to fall. After realizing that the fuel shutoff lever was deactivated, the pilot attempted 2 emergency engine restarts, but the aircraft was already too low. At 7:06, he made a desperate mayday call, but sadly just a minute later, with no time to reach land, the helicopter crashed into the dark, cold waters of the East River. And this is where the clip begins. From Roosevelt Island, multiple witnesses saw the helicopter tilt sharply forward and begin an uncontrolled descent towards the water. The footage captures the moment of impact. The helicopter slams into the water, right side first, sending a violent spray into the air before flipping onto its side. The pilot, having anticipated the crash, activated the emergency flotation system, but it only partially inflated, causing the helicopter to sink much, much faster than expected. Just because of the way the helicopter was designed, having no doors, water flooded into the cabin and filled it within just moments. The pilot, strapped in by his standard seatbelt, was able to unbuckle himself and surface quickly. However, for the passengers, strapped in with the special supplemental harness system, which had secured them during flight and allowed them to lean out to take cheeky photos, now trapped them inside the sinking helicopter.
That's crazy when you think about it, man. A freaking thing, the harnesses, which are supposed to be a safety measure, end up being a freaking danger to them in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Now this freaking harness is holding me back from surviving instead of dying. Like, oh my God, y'all. And also, man, I can't help but to just watch it and just think, why couldn't the damn helicopter just land on land? You know what I'm saying? Why did it have to land where the freaking water was, y'all? Because it was going down slow enough to the ground where they probably would have survived. But for some reason, this tragedy just so happened while they was above water. Sometimes it just be your time to go. That's just all I can say, man. Jesus.
Unlike a seatbelt, which could be undone in an instant, these harnesses required unscrewing and unlocking carabiner or cutting through a thick industrial tether. Doing any of this was nearly impossible while upside down and in pitch black water. Before takeoff, each passenger was shown a 4-minute safety video showing them what to do in a situation like this, and had been given a small cutting tool before takeoff. This tool was supposed to be used to sever the tether in an emergency, but investigators later revealed that these cutting tools were almost useless. In tests, they struggled to slice through the ultra-strong tethers designed for full protection. Inside the sinking helicopter, passengers fought desperately to free themselves, but the water was just rising too fast, and within a blink of an eye, the helicopter disappeared beneath the surface. Absolutely haunting stuff. Emergency services and rescue divers arrived within minutes, but by the time they reached the wreckage, the river's powerful current had already carried the aircraft 50 blocks south. Things did not look good. Soon, a tugboat secured the wreck, preventing it from drifting further, as divers under the water worked frantically to cut the passengers free. But of course, by then, it was far too late. 2 passengers were pronounced dead at the scene, the remaining 3 were pulled from the water and rushed to hospital, but tragically, none survived. The 5 victims, young professionals and tourists, some in their 20s and early 30s, had simply been looking for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but instead, their final moments were spent trapped in an inescapable nightmare. The investigation that followed uncovered some shocking failures. While the helicopter itself had no prior accidents, Liberty Helicopters had a history of crashes. This was actually their 3rd in 11 years. The National Transportation Safety Board later concluded that the harness system played a critical role in the fatalities, stating that the setup violated basic safety principles by leaving passengers without a quick release option in the case of an emergency. In the months that followed, lawsuits were filed against both Fly Nyan and Liberty Helicopters, accusing them both of gross negligence. The public outcry led to stricter regulations on open-door flights, with the FAA banning all tethered harness systems that did not have a quick-release mechanism. Many of these lawsuits were settled out of court, but after a lengthy court battle, in 2024, 6 years after the crash, Manhattan's Supreme Court awarded $116 million to the family of Trevor Cadigan, a 26-year-old journalist who perished in the crash. This verdict is reported to be the largest jury award for a single wrongful death in New York's history.
Yeah, that's a lot of money that his family got, but they'll never bring him back. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm pretty sure his family will give that $116 million right back to actually get their son, their brother, their father, their uncle, whoever back, man. Like, that's freaking crazy, y'all. But it's one thing that just be on my mind, man, and I'm really thinking about it right now. Just the fact that it have to be deaths and tragedies in order for the proper safety measures to take place, when you should have been taking these safety measures before we even get to these tragedies. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all want to make like a quick release on these straps so people can get out of them quick in case of emergency. Like y'all should have been did that from the beginning. That's the type it be pissing me off. Long story short, short story long.
The jury found that Liberty Helicopters, who own the aircraft, as well as Fly Nyan, which operated the helicopter tours over New York City, were primarily responsible for the deaths, stating that the safety systems that were in place were a death sentence for the passengers. What should have been an exhilarating sightseeing tour instead became one of the deadliest helicopter crashes in New York City's history. For these passengers, they thought they were going on a sightseeing extravaganza, but they had no idea that they were stepping into a deadly death trap, one that none of them would return from.
Like, just seeing that dude, they're throwing a thumbs up. Just don't know, man. Literally, not even an hour from now, you are not going to be here no more. You are going to be deceased. Like, just thinking about ish like that is crazy, being team. Oh, my God. But, yeah, man, like I was saying, y'all, like, man, why was the first safety measure was giving these people, when they in these scraps, giving them some damn knives or razors or whatever, cutters that don't even freaking cut, can't even cut the scrap? Like, why is that y'all first safety measure when your first one should have been the damn release? You know what I'm saying? You pull on the strap a certain way and everything just releases. That should have been your first one if you really took the time and effort to research and make sure. It's like, dude, it's like they research after a tragedy happened, and that ish be peeing me off. I know I just said it again, Bean Team, but I had to get my point across, man. Rest in peace to all those people who died right there, too. Let's get to number 3. Number 3.
This next shocking clip comes from Bengaluru, India, on October the 22nd, 2024. That October, it rained for 24 days straight, and on the 22nd, the city recorded a staggering 186 millimeters of rain in a single day, shattering a 27-year record. So that day, it was pissing it down. Roads in the northern part of the city were completely waterlogged, meaning traffic had ground to a halt, and many homes were flooded. But that wouldn't stop the locals and workers going about their day-to-day. After all, they were used to rain in October. But that afternoon, 22 construction workers were hard at work on a 7-story building located in northern Bengaluru. Unknown to them, the building itself was illegal. It was only approved for 4 stories, but the developers had tacked on 3 more, hoping that no one would notice. Unfortunately, unauthorized construction is a massive problem all across Bengaluru. A survey by the BBMP in November 2024 documented over 2,500 illegal buildings across the city, many of them built with no regard for safety at all. Some might stand, but most of them are a ticking time bomb just waiting to explode. That day, at around 4 p.m, as the workers laboured inside the 7-story structure, completely out of the blue, the entire building suddenly collapsed and fell over itself like a pack of cards. In just mere seconds, tons of concrete and twisted steel beams came crashing down as if they were nothing, dragging those inside with them as well. Some that were working inside were sadly killed instantly, crushed beyond belief, while others were left trapped beneath the wreckage, buried alive, completely unable to move.
And it's like the way it fell, y'all. It looked like it like Ryan said, was literally just a ticking time bomb. Like, there is nothing that you see that really would give a reasoning for why it really fell at that point, other than the fact that it had been raining for so long. So yes, I know that the ground was wet, but it's just like, dude, it ain't like an explosion happened or something. Like, it just was a ticking time bomb, and there it goes. It blowed.
Despite the relentless downpour, teams from the Fire and Emergency Department, the National Disaster Response Force, as well as the State Disaster Response Force rushed to the scene, only to find a total nightmare. Bodies lay trapped underneath massive amounts of concrete. Hands could be seen sticking out of gaps. It was just horrible. Rescue teams used what they called the Divine Eye, a through-barrier imaging radar device developed by the Electronics and Radar Development Establishment. This device detects movement through walls, making it invaluable in both rescue operations as well as hostage situations. Emergency teams worked through the night, searching for survivors, and by the following day, 13 workers had been pulled from the rubble. But sadly, for 9 individuals, it was just too late. A routine day at work had turned fatal. In the aftermath, survivors blamed the building's owners, the contractor, as well as the mason for cutting corners to save money. Not only was the building completely illegal, but they alleged that the structure had also been built with substandard materials, prioritizing profit over safety. Because of this, the owner, the engineer, and the mason were all arrested. Authorities accused them of failing to take any safety measures and proceeding with an illegal construction without any approval.
Good, man. They ass need to be arrested because they, long story short, story long, just ain't give a damn. They just wanted the freaking money and they ain't care about nobody's safety in this situation, just period.
Police charged all three of them with culpable homicide, rash and negligent acts endangering human life, as well as public nuisance. As of February 2025, legal proceedings over the collapse are still ongoing, but hopefully, those responsible are held fully accountable for the 9 lives lost in one of the most avoidable tragedies that I've covered from India so far.
I agree, man. Hopefully they get the right sentencing, y'all. Like, and I feel like it just the safety measures, how negligence they was when it comes to that. I feel like they knew at some point that damn building was gonna fall, and they still didn't care. Or if they didn't know, they had a strong feeling about it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they didn't care. Oh, build it anyway. Add 3 more stories on top while you're at it. Let's try to make as much money as we can before it falls. Like, that seemed like their freaking mentality with it. No, man. They responsible for them people death, y'all. And I hope they get what they deserve. Let's go to number 2. Number 2.
Next up, we've got an incident that seems just far too common on this channel, but that doesn't make it any less tragic. This entry takes us to the city of Roldanillo in southwest Colombia on January the 21st, 2025. Roldanillo is known as Colombia's paragliding capital, drawing enthusiasts from all across the world thanks to its near-perfect flying conditions. Not only does it boast stunning rolling hills, but the most popular launch site, Agua Panela, sits around 6,200 feet above sea level. From there, pilots can jump off and catch columns of rising warm air, allowing them to stay airborne for extended periods of time and cover impressive distances. So it's literally one of the best places in the world to paraglide, and one person eager to take on the challenge was 38-year-old Polish national Paulina Biskup. Known for her bright, adventurous spirit, Paulina loved flying and exploring beautiful new places. She was no beginner. She paraglided many times before and considered herself highly experienced. Thinking that this would be the ultimate location to soar, Paulina, her partner, and their friends made their way from Dublin to Colombia. While paragliding wasn't the main goal of the trip, when the day of the flight arrived, they were all very excited.
Man, it's just like as soon as Ryan was like, oh, this is a story that we have seen a lot on my channel, so to speak, however he said it, man. And then when he showed somebody paragliding, I'm like, oh my God, here we go again, y'all. Like, seriously, man, we have seen so many videos of this. And that's why I'm just shaking my head while he telling us about the lady, because he was saying she a professional and all that. And I'm just still shaking my head like, man, it don't matter if you a professional or not when it comes to this ish right here, boy. Let's go.
Fortunately, I couldn't find online which company took her out that day, but on January the 21st, Paulina stood at the edge of Agua Panela, strapped into her harness, and was ready to take off. With her friends and her partner watching, she leapt into the sky, and just like that, she was gliding gracefully through the air. This photo looks to be snapped from that day, but I could be wrong, and at first, everything was going smoothly. But just minutes after takeoff, the weather took a sudden and brutal turn. The once clear day turned dangerously windy, far too windy to paraglide. The terrifying moment that this happened was all caught on video. The footage shows Paulina being tossed around like a ragdoll, completely at the mercy of the brutal gusts. She held on for dear life, trying desperately to regain control as she was battered from every direction. In a panic, she tried to descend, but her equipment became entangled. The footage captures the entire ordeal. For a moment, it looks like she may just make it. She's getting closer to the ground, but then, in a terrifying turn, she slips from her harness and plummets into the tall grass below.
Jesus.
Emergency rescue teams rushed to the scene, but by the time they arrived, it was too late. Paulina was pronounced dead, having sustained massive injuries from the fall. A preliminary investigation revealed that her harness had not been secured properly before takeoff. It's unclear whether her harness was checked beforehand. This is just yet another case where someone presses that record button, hoping to capture a happy, beautiful memory, but instead they capture a clip just before horror.
A clip before freaking horror, man. Rest in peace to Paulina, y'all. That's a scary way to go out too. Fall into your death, but she didn't just completely fall real quick. Like she was swaying back and forth and trying to fight and live. And then before you know it, she just lost control, man. And ended up slipping from her harness. And I feel like it's some safety measures that weren't took correctly in that either, man. As far as like, number one, before any paragliding going on, before we do any of this, is we need to know the weather like for real. We got to get the real weather. But at the same time, man, a wind gust can come from out of nowhere. So that's why I was saying, like, it don't matter if you're a professional or whatever you're doing, man. Sometimes stuff like that is just dangerous and you can just lose your life like that, being at the in that place at the wrong time when that wind start freaking blowing. It's just a lot of different factors that go into that stuff, y'all. But do I feel like they could have been a little safer in this matter? Most definitely. And then maybe it was the harness, like Ryan said. Maybe it was just the wind. I don't freaking know, my friends. Long story short, story long. One more time, rest in peace to Paulina. Let's get to number one. Number one.
This next entry is one that many of you may be familiar with. This case begins on February the 24th, 2020. That night, 42-year-old Sarah Boone and her boyfriend, 42-year-old George Torres Jr., were at home together in Winter Park, Florida. Sarah claimed that they had spent most of the day drinking a single bottle of wine, playing games, doing puzzles, and working on art projects. But neighbors told a different story. They said that the couple had been arguing and drinking heavily, with Sarah being the most vocal. Now, fighting while drinking wasn't unusual for the couple. George was allegedly abusive when intoxicated, but so was Sarah. George had been arrested 4 times for battery against Sarah, yet she bailed him out every time.
Oh no, we just starting off bad with this one, y'all. You didn't got arrested 4 times for domestic violence towards her, and she the one that done bailed you out all 4 of them times. Oh no, the 5th time finna be bad, BT. We can't keep doing this over and over and expecting it to have a happy outcome. Yeah, I feel like at this point the police should have stepped in and put a restraining order on both of them. Like seriously, like y'all cannot be around each other. Period.
Sarah had tried kicking George out multiple times. She even changed the lock at one point, but he just kept coming back and the relationship continued. Their fights sometimes turned brutal. Once, George even stabbed Sarah in the leg with a steak knife. So by all accounts, the relationship was toxic, but nothing they had done before compared to what unfolded that night. Regardless of how the evening actually played out, the facts are this. Sarah and George were at home drinking, and one thing led to another, and somehow, George ended up inside the suitcase, with Sarah zipping it up from the outside. Sarah claimed that they were playing hide and seek, joking about how small George was and that he could fit inside the suitcase, saying that he got into the suitcase on his own, intentionally. To me, the hide and seek story is hard to believe, because 2 separate videos recorded by Sarah that night tell a very different story. In the footage that is hard to watch, George is on the floor, still stuck inside the suitcase. He was struggling to breathe and begging for his life. As he did this, Sarah did nothing but taunt him. In one clip, George's arm can be seen sticking out a small gap in the zipper. He was desperately trying to escape. On video, he pleads with Sarah, telling her that he can't breathe, but instead of helping, Sarah just laughs and told him to shut up. She mocks him, saying, "That's how I feel when you choke and cheat on me."
Oh, what the hell, lady? This is a serious situation and you playing a freaking round, man. Get me out this damn suitcase. That's crazy, y'all. And I seriously feel like I'm having a deja vu moment. Like I feel like I had watched this video, y'all, but this probably was like 2-3 years ago from somebody's channel. So it's like it's almost brand new to me. But seriously, man, this lady here is crazy. And then she recording the ish.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah. I can't breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. Sarah.
Now I know, man. I know that she has been getting abused by this guy. I know all that being teen. But at the end of the day, man, two wrongs don't make no damn right. Like, seriously, man. Like, oh my God, y'all. Because I thought about it when she said, and when he was like, I can't breathe. And she was like, yeah, just like you be doing me. But in this situation, lady, let the man out the goddamn suitcase. And then just move away from him. Y'all go y'all separate ways. Why are y'all still together any goddamn way? Seriously, I thought, oh my God, man. Sarah. Ugh.
Then the recording stops. 11 minutes later, Sarah records another video showing the same situation. George was still stuck in the suitcase. He was pleading for help. This video continues for some time before Sarah went upstairs. She got into bed and she went to sleep, leaving George still inside the suitcase. By the time she woke up the next morning and went downstairs, of course, George was still there on the floor inside the suitcase. Only then did she unzip it, and he was blue. She attempted CPR before calling her ex-husband, who obviously just told her to call 911. On the 911 call, Sarah said that they'd only shared a single bottle of wine before deciding to play hide and seek. She said that George had climbed into the suitcase himself as a joke, and then she'd accidentally fallen asleep, assuming that George could just get out on his own.
Alright, great. Now tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in a suitcase and we were playing. And
Okay.
like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep, and I woke up and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened. Yes, like he has like blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know if like he had like an aneurysm or what happened.
Right, okay, alright, okay. Listen, we're getting help out there too. Alright, okay. Okay,
Right now?
Okay, yeah, man, listen, we're on our way out there. You're at 407-716-8684. Okay, is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay, so he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Falling asleep with somebody in a suitcase zipped up is crazy to me. Like, how in the fuck you gonna leave somebody zipped up in a suitcase and just take your ass to sleep dreaming about whatever the hell you dreaming about? Huh?
We're pulling one of these spots just so we can get out of there. It's signal 7, so it's gonna be turned over to you guys.
Yep. Hello there. Hi. Get out here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like,
Yeah, I'm
he and
just-
I
sorry.
were putting a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys. I tried
Recording
giving you
your brother,
CPR. The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning, when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes!
It's 1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him, and I took him out, and I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband or your ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you live at?
Right down the street.
Okay. So you were playing and who zipped him up?
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. You're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what happened.
I fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or what.
What kind of medical conditions did he have?
None that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None
You
that I
didn't take
know
any
of.
medicine?
No.
No medicine.
All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek. That's all that happened.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had a heart attack or what in there. Like, I don't know what happened.
So how long were you doing CPR on him prior to you calling 911? You tried that all morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I called him while I was
What
doing
time
CPR.
did you start? Probably give me a rough ballpark.
Forgetting that he was
So
in
you
the
guys
suitcase.
were playing the hide and go seek.
Yes.
And at some point you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So
Okay.
he thought it'd be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you and I'll zip you up and make him, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
Right where
You got
it
in
is.
it? Right down there?
Yes.
You zipped him in there?
Yes.
Thought he would be funny, a little
It
joke.
was. We both were laughing about it.
Okay.
And then I fell asleep
Where did you fall asleep at?
upstairs.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still.
Okay. And then you came back downstairs?
This morning, or this
around
afternoon, yes, when I got up.
ballpark, what time?
12:30-ish. I was awake, but I totally forgot that he was in the suitcase.
Man, stop that. You totally forgot he was in the suitcase, dumbass ish. You full of, long story short, story long, this lady just full of ish all the way around anyway it goes. Like, come on, man. And then one thing she keep bringing up that's not even helping her argument, making it look like she tried to do this or intended to do this even more, is the fact that she keeps saying, we only drunk one bottle of wine. That is implying that you was not freaking intoxicated when you did this ish. You was sober then, huh? One little bottle of wine, sharing it with two people ain't gonna have you doing no crazy ish like this. So you was completely in your right mind when you left that man in that suitcase, when you were recording that video, when you decided to walk up them stairs, leave him downstairs and take your ass in your bed and go to sleep. You knew exactly everything you was doing, huh? That's what you're telling me without knowing you're telling me it. Let's go. I'm getting mad at this damn lady, man.
By the time the paramedics arrived in the morning, George had already been dead for hours. The official cause of death was positional asphyxia. Sarah was swiftly arrested and brought to the local police station for questioning, where here she was charged with second-degree murder. Sarah gave over her phone willingly for forensic evidence, and officers questioned her. Again, in custody, she claimed it was all a joke, they were having fun, until she was presented with the video evidence from the night before, showing George begging for his life. She'd completely forgotten she'd recorded them.
So, do you remember making any videos or maybe having any any photos, videos that you remember doing on your phone on Sunday?
No.
No?
I think I took a picture of a dog.
Okay. But you're so I have something that I want to show you that we found, and it was from your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it?
You need to move it around, go ahead.
No, I don't remember that.
For everything you've done to me.
So that's the lie you gonna go run with. That's what you gonna give me right there. You don't remember that ish. Seriously, you wasn't drunk. Remember, you the one told me that y'all only had one little thing of wine. So your mind was working that good and fine, but you don't remember that. Man, you know what? At this point, I'm done talking to her. Lock her up and throw away the damn key. Seriously.
For everything you've done to me.
Your battery's about to die.
Shut it down.
Oh, okay.
Is it long? Because I don't know how much I can take. I don't know how much I can take. I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it, if that's okay.
Well, it's on your phone, and you can either explain it or we take it for what it is.
Yeah. We're just trying to give you the opportunity to tell us what's going on. That's it.
It's that long?
2 minutes. For everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me. You. That's you. Your voice. Stupid. Sarah. That's my name. Don't wear it up. Sarah.
And just the fact, y'all, now that I'm thinking about it, just the fact that she kept this shit on her phone, knowing that this man done died, knowing that the police are on the way, and now I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. Thank God she kept it on her phone. It's great evidence for us. You know what I'm saying? Great evidence to be held, that we can use, the prosecution can use to get her ass life in prison, at least. But I'm just saying, man, it's crazy her thinking process. Like, what? Wow.
I don't want to watch it, please.
Last time we talked to you, you had said that you put him in the suitcase. He had two fingers hanging out.
I flipped him over. I flipped him over, and that's where it was.
There's two different videos and a still picture where, yeah, it shows you flipping him in different positions and him saying that he can't breathe and you saying
This is upside down. So in order for him to have gotten into it,
it was flipped up.
Right. It was flipped up normal.
Yes.
Like as if you're packing something. So this is upside down.
Guys, this is killing me right now.
So this,
I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, I don't know, like, what you want me to tell you.
I'm just showing you, I'm just telling you what we see and what we've heard from the other video.
I understand.
He's begging for you to let him out. You're laughing in the beginning, and then in the end, it sounds kind of like a...
No, it's not malicious.
well, saying
It's not malicious.
then what is that?
What does mean to you?
Well...
Like if I were to tell my
like he does. Like, I get called everything but a white woman, so...
Okay.
My intention was not to leave him in there. Please understand that. My intention was not to leave him in there.
But you went upstairs thinking that he could get himself out, but the video shows
That's what I told you.
And I see his fingers.
He'll be up here any minute.
And then 30 minutes later, he didn't show.
And he's telling you.
And I
he
didn't
can't
wake
breathe.
up.
Do you think
not
he's
able to get
joking?
out.
You told me he was laughing, and
We were before.
The video, there's no
When we first got in there, both of us were.
So how long was he in there for? Like, this video is at 11:12 when it starts, so was he in there for like a long time prior to recording this?
No.
So it goes from funny to no longer funny, but you're the only one laughing.
But I didn't think that he was, like, panicky. Like,
So pushing up on a suitcase saying, Sarah, Sarah, Sarah,
I can't
breathe. Nowhere in there is he laughing, is he joking. He is begging. And you're the only one laughing.
Okay.
And you're the only one saying derogatory comments. Like you're mad.
No. Please don't. I don't mean to sound negative, and I don't know if I can say this, but like it's like you guys are kind of trying to like feed me. Like
no, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said.
Well, I know what.
Why don't you remember making the video?
Probably because we had been drinking.
But you weren't drunk.
No. Just because I went upstairs and. Just because you're drunk doesn't mean that you...
times that you were not drunk. You said that you had your wits about you. You said he had his wits about you. You said that you don't like not having your wits. In my experience, if somebody cannot remember doing something to the extent of making 2 videos and taking a photo, they are intoxicated.
Okay. I understand where you all are coming from.
Well,
I get it.
I know you do understand where they coming from, man. They done trapped you all type of ways, lady. Same issue I was saying, and I'm glad they brought it up. And I should have known they was gonna brought it up, because the police in these situations, they know how to do their job good, Bean Team. And that lady and that man is doing an excelente job right now. You just said that y'all only had 1 bottle of wine, but now you insinuating that you was all drunken-ish. Which one is it, Sarah? They got her, man. Like I said, man, I would have been done talking to her, man. Go on, lock her up, man. Throw away the key. This ain't gonna even take long right here in the court. This ain't gonna take long at all to come up with this verdict. All we gotta do is play that video, then play this interrogation to the judge and to the jury, and it's over.
Trying to make sense of it. We're trying to figure out what
We're trying to figure out this
You
video.
explain it to us. We're listening.
I just did. Like, we were playing, and then, like, I thought it was... My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to... He'll be up here any minute.
But you willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs and get
My
ready
plan
for
wasn't
bed.
also to leave him in the suitcase.
So why didn't you take him out?
Because I went upstairs, and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think... He's asking to come out.
I didn't do it intentionally.
What do you think is going to happen if you leave somebody in a confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not zipping it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him in the
And what was
suitcase.
your plan?
Waiting for him to come upstairs.
As soon as she was presented with the videos, Sarah refused to watch them, and one detective called her out immediately, pointing out that George was literally begging for his life in the videos while she mocked him, and that this was no game. Sarah's legal battle dragged on for years, with constant delays, partly due to COVID and the fact that she changed lawyers 9 times, dismissing most of them herself. When she finally reached court in October of 2024, over 4 years after the incident, her defense argued that Sarah suffered from battered spouse syndrome, citing George's long history of abuse, including the time that he stabbed her. Sarah took the stand in her own defense. She claimed again that they were joking around and that she did not intentionally kill George. Her defense claimed that now she had killed him in self-defense. She claimed that George had become aggressive inside the suitcase and that Sarah was terrified that if he got out that he would kill her. Then the golden question came in court. Sarah was asked if she did anything to help him while he was trapped inside, and she said no, basically admitting to murder on the stand. Shortly after, she told the court that she'd used the opportunity to tell George how she really felt, since he couldn't retaliate from inside the suitcase. She told everyone that she genuinely believed that he could escape the suitcase himself, but I don't believe that. In my opinion, she didn't just fall asleep, she purposely let him die.
Yes.
During the trial, it was revealed that Sarah had clearly lied about how much they'd both drunk that night. Investigators discovered that she and George had actually consumed at least 3 bottles of Magnum-size wine, which are double the size of standard bottles. Now, it wasn't looking good in court until prosecutors offered Sarah a plea deal, a manslaughter conviction with 15 years in prison. She could have been out in just 8 to 10 years with good behaviour, but Sarah refused, and it was arguably the worst decision of her life.
What the fuck? She should have never even had the opportunity to make that decision. How the hell y'all gonna give her a plea deal for 15 years? And she dumb enough to not take that ish. That just show you how freaking dumb she is, and I'm glad she that freaking dumb. Give her... This lady is begging for life in prison. Can we just please get this over with? Seriously, man. On
October the 25th, 2024, after just 90 minutes of jury deliberation, Sarah was found guilty of second-degree murder, and a couple of months later, on December the 2nd, 2024, she appeared for her sentencing. Here, Sarah made a bizarre speech saying that she had time to think and that she had forgiven George, his family, and even herself. She claimed that George's family only cared too late, knowing that he was an abuser, and saying that she was a victim in all of this. Ultimately, Sarah was sentenced to life in prison without parole. She could have easily taken the plea deal and at least had a chance of freedom, but now she will spend the rest of her days behind bars and she will die in prison. After sentencing, she sent the judge a 58-page letter accusing him of being biased and calling herself a survivor. Now, this case is complicated and there are always two sides to every story, but George isn't here to defend himself, so we can only go from what Sarah has told the public and the police. However, she had lied throughout her questioning as well as in court, so I'm unsure if we can even take her version of events as gospel. What actually happened that night, only Sarah knows.
Yep, only Sarah and George and God knows, and they ain't speaking to us, being team, so we only can take what her words is, and she did so much freaking lying till you don't know what to believe, but I feel like it was murder. Just long story short, story long, y'all. That was freaking murder. And then for her to have the audacity to come back 4 years later talking about it was self-defense and that's why you left me in there, because if I would have let him out, he would have killed me. Like, come on, man. I'm glad that she did get life in prison, though. It took a while to get there. I feel like we could have got there a lot faster. They giving her crazy ass plea deals, but we did get there, man. Rest in peace to George. Even though George now, and I just got to say, this took real quick too, being team. I'm not excusing all the abuse that George was giving her and stuff. I understand that ish, but I'm like, man, y'all should have just been separated and went y'all own ways a long time ago. Something. That was not the answer right there, what she did to him.
But that is the end of the video. May all those featured rest in peace. Now I'm going to jump straight into this recap, completely unscripted, trying something a little bit different. Starting from the top, we've got the Bahamas overboard incident. What was Cameron thinking? Jumping into cold, dark water when you're intoxicated? I don't know what was going through his brain. Now, when you're drunk, you make crazy decisions, but how drunk do you have to be to jump in the water? I mean, you're in a tropical area. To me, I'd automatically assume that there's sharks in the water, but obviously he was in the heat of the moment. He jumped in. Who knows what happened? Now, as I said, a lot of people believe that he was swept away by the currents, but a lot of people believe that he was attacked by sharks the minute he got into the water. I'm interested in what you guys think. What can you guys see in the video? Because I'm honestly not sure. Next, we've got the helicopter crash in New York. I've never heard of this case, but the fact that they made these posh harnesses and didn't even really think about how people would get them off if they crashed is insanely irresponsible. The $115 million lawsuit was insane as well. That's an insane amount of money for just one wrongful death lawsuit case. And as I said, it made history. But I just can't even imagine what those people went through, sinking in the water, knowing that they couldn't release their harness. Doesn't bear thinking about. And I just hope they didn't suffer too much. Then we've got the building collapse in India. That one was just crazy. I've never seen a building collapse in the way that did. It just crumbled on itself like nothing. The people that planned for permission and were the officials building this clearly had no care for life whatsoever. Just like many other people building in Bengaluru, it seems that they just don't care until something goes wrong. And as I said, I hope those guys are held fully accountable for that total avoidable tragedy.
Yep.
Then we've got Paulina slipping from her harness in Colombia. Wow. That footage is eerily haunting, and I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It's clear that some company took her out and didn't really secure her harness before allowing her to fly into the air. As I said, I was unable to find which exact company this is, but this isn't the first time this has happened on my channel. I've covered multiple paragliding incidents where there's just been no care at all, and it's led to a tragic death of someone who just did nothing wrong. So like I always say, when you're going out on holiday, or you're going to another country, or even in your own country, make sure the person who is risking your life knows what they're doing, because this could all too easily be me or you.
Thanks.
Then we've got Sarah Boone and George Torres trapped in the suitcase. I am lost for words. Now obviously I knew about this case for quite a while, but I didn't really know all the details surrounding it. I just can't believe that she sat there watching him struggle in the suitcase, shouting at him, making his last moments on this earth the most excruciating that she could possibly make it. Awful behaviour, and the fact she didn't take the plea deal just goes to show how smart she really is, because now she's going to spend the rest of her days behind bars, and in my opinion, she deserves it.
Yes.
As always, I'm curious to hear all of your thoughts below, but just before I go, I'm going to really quickly plug my Patreon. If you're interested in uncensored, uncut, and early videos, as well as being completely ad-free, go and check out my Patreon. For as little as $6 a month, you can get access to all these perks, and you can experience my videos how they were always meant to be experienced. Now that doesn't mean excess gore, that just means the videos as they were always intended. So like I said, if you're interested in that, go and click the link in the description below. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Another Tragedy Tales Tuesday, Bean Team. This was a great one right here, y'all. And like, I just want to start off by saying rest in peace to everybody in the video who passed away, man. Oh my God, that last one. And I thought I had deja vu about that one, y'all. I thought I seen that one before, but now that I think about it, I don't think I did. Or I forgot a lot of details. I just remember some case a long time ago about a suitcase and somebody being inside it. But I feel like this was a different one. But long story short, story long on that one, I'm just happy that her dumb ass, who thought she was being smart, ended up basically giving herself life in prison. The police gave you a deal where you could have only spent 15 years and you passed that up, and they said that's what's up and locked your ass up. I'm glad she got locked up, y'all. I'm just trying to run through them real quick because I already know we have been here long enough. Being team. What was the one before that? The one before that, the paragliding. It has been so many times Ryan has covered these cases where these people be going paragliding and the safety measures don't be right, and it's just always something going wrong. They not paying attention to weather conditions, or even if they paying attention to it, they still don't care. They just caring about the money. Like, it's just one of those ones again, y'all. The freaking building collapsing. Like, them people need to be held accountable seriously, because I seriously feel like they kind of knew that one day it might fall, but they still ain't freaking care, man. The one before that with the people in the helicopter, just seeing the moments before horror, literally a clip of them before the freaking horror happened, and how happy they was with the dude throwing up the thumbs up and stuff, not knowing what is about to happen to them. Rest in peace. Freaking sad too, man. Freaking sad. And the very first one, y'all, man, I agree with Ryan, and I know I was saying it too. Like, they had to been drunk as elf for Cameron had to be drunk as elf to jump off that damn boat. But at the same time, how drunk is drunk as elf to do something like that, man? And we don't know if it's the current that took him away or the sharks that attacked him, but it was just like him just jumping into that water like that. He just had a slim to none chance of surviving anyway. But I digress. I'm gonna go let y'all go, Bean Team. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before you leave, as always, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.